Hi, lovely audience. We're here in the virtual world specifically to gain advice from a real therapist. Here we have RiaRosella here on our channel today to talk about positive thinking strategies. Let's go! How are you feeling today?
Hi, I'm good. So I'm RiaRosella. I am a licensed therapist in the United States, also a VTuber, and I was asked to help with positive thinking, particularly with transition, because it's Pride.
Pride Month, woo! Thank you so much for being on the lovely little channel here today. The burning question that we often have: how do we achieve positive thinking, especially from like the context and perspective of an actually licensed therapist rather than a YouTuber like me that is not one?
Well, first I'll say that typically if therapists don't give advice, they help you build certain skills. They will help you like learn how to unlearn some things that you might have picked up, like, internalized transphobia, for example, is the major one that would be relevant to this situation. Just general advice and knowledge, which in the field we call psychoeducation. I would start with, don't start positive. It's really hard to go from like negative thoughts, I'm a twink hun, whatever brainworm thoughts, to like, I'm super special awesome. Like that's very difficult. You can't do that very easily. So starting neutral. So like, for example, this is something I work a lot with people who are struggling with eating disorders, for example, and they have that warped sense of who they are, and it's like, my body is average. It's like kind of like my life is average, but like literally like thinking that way can really help get you from the extreme negative to something more neutral before we try to shift to something positive, right?
Okay.
So just kind of work towards those very neutral thoughts. Like, I'm at the beginning of my journey. I don't know what I'll look like at the end. Like these kind of more neutral thoughts.
Works as a bridge almost to the more positive thought later. To the building block, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you say would be the best way to kind of start that journey of that bridge and trying to get to those neutral thoughts to help then later on get to the positive ones? What would be like the recommended approach, you think?
There's a couple different things you can do. The first off is actually, even before you get to neutral thoughts, if you want to get like a sports counter, like, like a clicker or like a digital one or whatever, and literally when you catch yourself saying a negative thought, you click it or tap it if it's an app. And the reason why is you want to notice when you're thinking negative thoughts, because you want to challenge that automatic thinking, and you'll notice as you start clicking that it will happen more and the number will go up in time, because you'll start noticing it more. And it isn't saying that you're getting more negative, it's just you're getting better at noticing the negativity. And some people report just by being mindful of the negativity, they will notice a decrease in negative thoughts just from that.
Okay.
So you do that for like a couple weeks, and you can basically get that habit of noticing, that mindfulness, noticing when you're having negative thoughts. So that's an easy first step.
Okay.
To build neutral thoughts, the next thing involves the dreaded like homework.
Oh no.
The thing that everyone hates in therapy is when you actually have to do something outside of therapy.
I forgot my homework. What am I gonna do?
Your dog can't eat your therapy homework because it lives up here.
Oh no. Dang it.
No, I'm kidding. But this actually is a written down thing I'm going to suggest, which is actually doing lines as it. So the human brain has this weird thing where we internalize things we literally write down. We're not typing this. We're not typing what I'm about to suggest. We are literally writing it down. And
with a pencil.
You create a neutral sentence like, I look average, or I'm at the beginning of my journey, whatever neutral thought that you want to have, and you will write that like 15 times a day for a week.
Okay, so is that reinforcement?
Your brain, Yeah, it'll reinforce it in your memory, and it will help you notice that you're having that neutral thought more and more and more as you write it. And you also want it to be short because you're going to have to write it over and over.
Okay.
So, like, my life is average, or I I'm at the beginning of my journey, or like, what's another trans-related one? God, a lot of people get stuck on not being like a cis woman or a real woman. And another kind of neutral thought is like, womanhood is a mosaic. Because there's a bunch of different types of women. There are like trans women, cis women, disabled women, black disabled, trans, like you put all these adjectives together, right? Like there's all these different ways to be a woman. And so
Yeah.
there's a mosaic of womanhood.
To the mosaic, the word
And so-
itself refers to the variety in which there's lots of types of women.
Exactly.
Okay. We are an adjective at the end of the day, in a way. Trans experience. Just an adjective.
We are not a verb unless you want to be lolzy about it and being like, I trans my gender.
I'm transing everyone's gender.
So when you're ready to kind of start to work towards positive thoughts, you can play a game that I got from Dr. David Burns in his book, Feeling Good When Panic Attacks. There's a couple different books that you can get by him that kind of teaches the basics of CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, that you can do at home. We call that bibliotherapy. And it's called the positive negative thought role play. And the rules of the role play are as follows. You get another person.
That's me.
And one of you plays the negative side, which is what Lucy will be playing for this. And then the other person plays the positive side. And the rules for each side is the person playing the negative side has to start all of their sentences with you. Like, you're like a twink hun, or whatever negative thought you want to say, because I know so many people struggle with those, like,
What does that mean?
brainworms. It's from a dark corner of the internet where a bunch of trans women that are kind of in like the depression hole, like kind of like essentially beat each other up.
I see.
Don't try to look for it. It's no good. It's no good.
It sounds
Sonic
very
Mode.
no good. That's no good.
And so the negative side will start all of its sentences with yous, and the positive side will start all of the sentences with I. And when she hits me with a negative thought, I will defend, and I will say an I statement to defend, and I will teach you how to create that as we go, but I want to demonstrate it first and see if Lucy can figure out exactly what I'm doing. And then Lucy can come back at me, and she has two options on what she can do. She can either reply to me with a negative thought that is the same negative thought, like an argument that's beginning with you again, or like our brains are apt to do, when you beat one negative thought, it just jumps in with another one. So, are you ready?
I am ready to be a
All right.
meanie pants.
Okay, so we're going to pretend like these are my negative thoughts, and what we're actually going to do is we're just going to pick common negative thoughts that trans people have, and I will defend them. Also, I should say, if you're playing with someone, especially if you don't know them well, so like say you're playing on a Discord server, and you're playing with someone you don't know well, if the positive person says something that doesn't feel true to them as a person, then they can say like, mulligan, try again. Because it depends on how well you know the person, whether you can properly defend or not, because you are playing another side of them. So just have them try again.
Okay.
So hit me with your best shot.
That's a reference. Okay, I gotta channel like all sorts of meanie, internalized transphobia. I gotta manifest it within of temporary negativity for the sake of someone else's positivity. Okay. Common internalized transphobia.
3 hours later.
I guess I can start with the common one. So it has to be, the sentence has to have the you at the start, like you can't A, you can't B, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I feel so mean. Okay. Gonna be mean.
You sweet bean, you.
I'm trying.
I can't do it.
I'm trying. I can be mean. I can be mean.
Give me your war face.
I'll try. I just gotta channel. I gotta channel it. Okay. This is gonna be easy. Okay.
I just need to start listing things, and then.
Oh no, I got this. You aren't sounding the way that you might want to.
I know that voice training is a process. And I know the more time and energy that I put into voice training daily, I will get better and better with time.
Okay. But
So
you won't practice that much. That'll take a lot of time.
I know that the process takes a long time, but I also know every minute of practice gets you closer to your goal.
Well,
Come on, hit me with the real mean stuff. Come on.
the real mean stuff. Your shoulders are broad. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. And this is true for me. I know my shoulders are a little more broad, but I also know if I get a bigger bust or if I get top surgery, I can kind of frame out my chest so it looks more proportional.
Dang, that was a good argument. You might be taller than you would want to be. Yeah.
You're too tall? Notice, audience, that not even saying it very direct. It's like, you might be taller than maybe
I'm
you want to be.
I'm trying!
I know that I'm on the taller side, but there are women of every height.
Dang, that is true. Yes. People can be of any height. Dang. My negativity didn't anticipate for this really well-constructed neutral positive thought. You could have transitioned earlier. Got him.
Yeah, that is a very common one that people
Yeah.
say. Yeah. So
Let's say
then
your
I would
rebuttal.
reply with, yeah. Would reply with, I know I could have transitioned earlier, but I also know that the more I put it off, the more that I continue to dwell on that, the less that I can focus on the fact that I'm transitioning now and that I'm making myself be the person I want to be.
I couldn't. Oh, dang. The tracking couldn't handle your
Wait,
sheer
what's-
positivity.
Audience, can you tell what I'm doing? Like pause and put it in the comments. Can you tell what I'm doing to be like Neo and like dodging every single thing that she's throwing at me? Can you tell the pattern that I have? Put it in the comments now. See if you're right.
Engagement.
Hit me with the worst possible thing you could say, and then I'll explain it.
The worst possible thing. You aren't trans enough. That's the thing they say. Yeah.
Ah, I wasn't expecting that one. I was expecting you'd never be a real woman.
Well, I don't know if I had that in my soul to say. I'd feel so bad. I've been avoiding that one. I have limits.
Okay, I'll answer both of them. So, for I'm not trans enough, I'll say, I know that I am inexperienced with being trans, as a potential one you could say, or I know that maybe I don't experience dysphoria. Maybe that's another one you could say to that. But then you'd be like, but I also know that I'm like transitioning, if it was the first one. And then the second one, it's like, but I experience gender euphoria, or I enjoy the fact that I am transitioning into being a woman for the sake of it was me. Those would be the kind of rebuttals that I would give to that.
Okay, those make sense.
I also made it very obvious what the formula is just now.
Yeah?
Do you know what the formula is?
The formula is...
So what the formula is you acknowledge something about the negative thought, because negative thoughts are built on usually a crumb of truth, like the fact that we are trans. So if you acknowledge that little crumb of truth and you take it, the negative thought can't stick to the rest of the thought, because the crumb of truth, it's like, nope, it's my crumb of truth, you can't have it.
Okay.
So I acknowledge the truth of, yes, I'm taller, or yes, my shoulders are broad, or yes, I'm early in the process, or whatever the thing you're acknowledging. And then you can, after doing that acceptance, or we call that radical acceptance, after that radical acceptance, then you can comment, you can make change. If it's something you can change, you can talk about how it's changing. If it's something you can't change, you can be like, well, it's who I am and I can't like change it or whatever. And so everything that I said, if you rewatch, oh my gosh, even more like video yummy things. If you rewatch that whole section over, you'll notice how I am just dodging everything by acknowledging that crumb of truth. And then I will say things about the situation.
Okay, so you have like the counterattack because you're acknowledging and taking on parts of it. However, you're reframing a lot of it and then flinging it back with a positive spin.
Exactly.
I see. I get it now.
The question is, can you do it?
I like to hope so.
If we switch the roles,
okay.
Can you do it?
I feel like I'll be a bit better at this one. Okay.
You are Miss Positivity.
Yeah, I need to make sure I secure that title. So, hit me with everything you got. I can take it. I can take it.
You're going to look at your eyebrow ridge, and it's just going to be so large that it's just going to scream man.
Well, even if people think that, I think it doesn't fundamentally matter, as I still get to live the wonderful life I get to lead, but as myself. The opinions of others doesn't really define my own happiness. It's what I do myself.
But you'll be treated like a man by everyone else.
That may be true. People may. However, I still get to know in my own heart, and I get to go out there and, dress how I want to dress and just be myself. So, yeah, if people think that or people feel that way about me, it doesn't change that I'm going out of my way to do things that make me happier and live the best life I can.
I would also say, if I was on that side, there are people who will see me. Like, I can find people who do see me as myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to please everyone.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. Wow, you're doing pretty good. Let's see if I can hit you with another one.
However, I'm going to parry that negativity.
If you transition, everyone will leave you.
Well, it is true that many people have in my life. However, there are many new people that came into my life that saw me as I started this new chapter of being myself.
Oh, snap! You are the queen of positivity!
That's me. I like that role more.
Let's go. Yeah, a little easier for you.
Just a little bit. Negativity's hard. At least saying it. Thinking it's easy, unfortunately, lovely audience. But saying it, oh, that's good.
A lot of people find it really hard to say negative thoughts at another person. They're like, "Ooh, this feels bad," and it's like, well, then why do you say it to yourself?
Because I'm only hurting my feelings. So now that we've addressed ways that we can think more positively, is there any more information you feel like you can add and let the lovely audience know?
Yeah, I think that I'll just add that this is really hard, and it's especially really hard if you try to do it alone. That's why I highly recommend, if you can get access to it, therapy is really important. And I'd recommend, if you can find it, try to find a queer-led therapy organization or a queer, like, front-facing therapist, because community-driven therapy, like a community-driven therapist like myself, is really, like, makes the whole process really easy. You don't have to have that, like, translation that you have to find in order to, like, get people to get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you might fall into the trap if you just try to go to, like, Psychology Today or some random website to try to find a therapist. Maybe they just put, well, I don't hate LGBTQIA people, so I'm just going to put listed as marketing, but it's not, like, truly effective therapy. So trying to find therapists that, like, are of the community, typically on their, like, personal website. So if they link a personal website, like, in reading, oh, this is definitely, like, they got the pride flags, they got, like, this is very queer oriented therapy, or, like, recommendations in your local community of therapists that are being like, yep, everyone goes to Sally Jane therapist over there, she's awesome. Like, that would basically be, like, how you would go about it. Making sure you get someone who really gets it will really help with challenging these negative thoughts, because they've had them, right? Like, they've experienced this themselves. And sometimes, if you can't afford therapy and you're in college, there is therapy provided by your universities. And I'd recommend seeing them and asking for, hey, do you have, like, a queer clinician? That would be probably the word you want to use in order to see me, because I want someone who understands me. So, yeah. But there's also something else that we need to talk about.
Whoa. What could that be?
That Lucy did an interview on my channel.
Whoa! People have access to my innermost thoughts?
You say those, like, all the time, but more personal than
But
just
more
this,
personal
yes.
than usual. I got to talk a little more about serious stuff that I normally do on this cozy corner of the internet. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out on Ria's channel too.
And I have a lot of content on just, like, general therapy topics if you want to try to, like, glean some more stuff before you get into your own therapy.
Yeah. So if you want to see more content like that, be sure to check out Ria's channel for all sorts of information from a therapist's perspective. Thank you for coming on to this wonderful little video. And thanks for having me on your channel and your video too. And lovely
Yes,
audience.
at RiaRosella. Thank you so much.
Yay! And with that lovely audience, the video is concluded. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe on my channel too. And I'll hopefully see you next week for a weekly trans content. So I hope you're having a wonderful Pride Month wherever you are in this big world of ours. And I will see you next time. As always, stay hydrated and know that you are valid. I'll see you next week. That was a good adventure. I felt like we learned a lot, lovely audience. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the funny subscribe button, and I'll see you next time for more trans content. Thank you again, RiaRosella, for being in the video. Stay hydrated and know that you are valid.